this is going to be part 2 of my manga series. This time, we'll be taking a look at classics such as Dragon Ball or Naruto. So, let's get started. I want to first start off with this classic. It's called Claymore. It's about these ladies who are like really strong, and they fight with these big swords called claymores, which the swords are actually called claymores in real life because they're huge. I was able to snag the second volume. What I really like about this volume is that it sort of has like a reflection on like the silver text and on the main character's eyes. Her name is Claire. She's pretty cool. This is a dark manga, very gritty, very bloody. But the artwork, well, it's amazing. Let's see if we can find a panel. Yes, as you can see, very bloody, very dark. I think I binged this series in 1 or 2 nights. Yeah, it's actually kind of creepy if you read it at night. But man, this series was good. I definitely recommend it. There's also an anime for this one, but it ends kind of weird. So I suggest if you're going to watch the anime, catch up to where it leaves off in the manga. A little bit of spoilers here, but that's alright. But yes, Claymore. Next up on our list, something a little more lighthearted. Pokemon, or Pokemon Adventures. Now, I've read a little bit of this one, not as much. I've played the games mostly, but this one follows the adventures of Red. If you're a huge Pokemon fan, I highly recommend that you pick up this manga, as the storyline is actually pretty good. I'm trying to find some good battles. Yes, very classic art style is pretty good. I like it. Very kid friendly, I would say. Now I've seen some things where it actually gets kind of dark, where the Pokemon actually hurt each other, like pretty bad. But yes, if you love the classic Pokemon series, then I recommend the manga. If you love the games or the anime, this one's also different from the anime, since it follows the main character from the game, who actually has a personality in the manga. But here it is. Pokemon Adventures. Oh, it even has Gary right here in the front with his team. Charmeleon, Golduck, Scyther, and Pidgeot. Next up on our list, Bleach. Now, Yes, this is Bleach. A story about a guy who gets, or who's able to see spirits. And he gets like these cool, like, Soul Reaper powers. He's able to send people back to the Soul Society. Ichigo, the main character. That's him right there. Trying to find some cool panels. The Soul Society arc is easily one of the best arcs in Shonen history. Mostly because of all the plot twists and all the battles. Oh, here's some of that cool art that I mentioned. I think Taikubo should get into the fashion industry. Some of like the clothes that he puts on the characters is actually pretty cool. I would buy it. Very cool. Bleach. A classic. People think that, well actually, the reason why it's named Bleach was because the author was going to originally make the story about guns, but then he turned the story into purifying spirits, or something along those lines, and he just thought of, it doesn't come to me now, but like detergent, like when you wash clothes and detergent, they get cleaned off of like dirt and grime, and so he just thought of bleach, kind of like cleaning spirits. Pretty cool little fact. Now next up on our list should be a pretty popular pick. Naruto. Now this is one of my childhood favorites. I was able to pick this one up. Naruto's a story about a boy who wants to become the Hokage, the #1 ninja in this world of ninjas. It's really good if you want like a really good motivational story. I think this one is volumes 22, 23, and 24. It's an omnibus. It contains 3 volumes in one. It's kind of long. Well, it's all omnibus. But yeah, this one takes place during the Sasuke retrieval arc. Again, I was not able to find like just volume 1, because that one's also really hard to find at bookstores. Yeah, I like to get some of my manga at bookstores just because I want it like right then and there. It's hard for me to wait. This is an iconic arc when they fight the Sound 5. Here's a pretty cool panel. I think a lot of the characters during this arc get some pretty cool development. Oh, one of my favorite characters, Rock Lee. Hold on, let me see. Oh, here's one of my favorite panels. He calls himself Konoha's handsome blue beast. I really like Lee. He's one of my favorite characters. But yeah, this is Naruto, another super classic. Oh, look at this fight. Super good. But yeah, this is Naruto. You can't be a weeb if you've never heard of Naruto. Next up on our list, Yu-Gi-Oh! Now this is probably a lot of your guys' childhoods. Same with probably a lot of these other ones. that this is way, way before the anime. Or at least I think so. Because if I remember correctly, the original idea for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a kid who would kind of like play death games with the villains in exchange for like people's lives or their souls. It's actually a really interesting idea. Until the author thought more about cards, since trading cards were a big thing back in the 90s. Well, they still kind of are a big thing, but they're more prominent in the 90s. And then they were just more profitable that way, so he just went with cards instead of death games. I honestly think that it should have stayed with death games. That would have been really cool to see. That's what they call Season 0 in the anime. But very nostalgic. I remember watching the show as a kid. Probably my favorite card would probably be Blue Eyes White Dragon and the Red Eyes Black Dragon. They're classic cards. I know there's a bunch of stuff now. It's super different. Here's another one. Actually, now that I'm reading this, this actually is Season 0, so Season 0 was in the manga. Never mind. Yeah, apparently the manga's a lot darker. I know that the Japanese version of the anime, or at least the original Japanese, it actually has all like the swearing and I think some blood. A lot of the more mature themes. Because it was kind of like, not butchered, but Americanized for the 4Kids dub here in the US. Well, I'm definitely gonna read this one. I've read all of these, but I don't think I've read the manga for Season 0. Oh, I found a cool panel. Oh, there's Kaiba. Oh. Oh, and it has some of the card games, huh? I'm trying to find a panel with Blue Eyes White Dragon. Oh, here it is. Yes. I used to have a toy of this one. I think it was the 3-headed Blue Eyes White Dragon. It was dope. I wonder what happened to it. But I lost it somewhere. But yeah, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely one of my childhood favorites. Here's the back. Next up on our list has become quite popular over the years, and now that it's finally got an English translation, officially. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now don't let the title fool you, because it truly is a bizarre adventure. This is like the hard book, kind of like special edition that they release here in the US. I like it. I like manga with hard covers. You have Jonathan Joestar here on the front cover. He's the first JoJo. Jonathan is actually my favorite JoJo. Then it's Giorno. This one's cool because it has some color pages. Whoa. Hold on. A little spicy back. But yes, this one just basically tells the story of a young man who has like a rich family. And he gets like an adopted brother named Dio later on. And a bunch of crazy stuff happens. I kinda don't want to spoil it, but for those of you who have seen it, it gets very bizarre. Let's just say the creator probably doesn't like dogs. But this story was actually kind of influenced from Fist of the North Star. I'm trying to find that classic panel. Oh, here it is. Get introduced to one of our favorite anime antagonists of all time, Dio. A lot of like the characters, mostly like the villains, and all the stands later on, because there's like a different power system after part 2 called stands. They're all named after like famous artists or bands. They're copyrighted here in the US, so they give them like some weird names. Oh, this is one of those panels. Yeah. For those of you dog lovers, you might have to have a bit of a strong conscience going into this one, because there's a lot of I don't want to say animal abuse, but a lot of animals die. It's very violent, very graphic. I definitely love the anime because it adds a bunch of cool stuff. Obviously, the animation. Here's Dio beating up Jonathan. I would say watch the anime because the anime actually does a really good job of adapting everything. Oh, here's Jonathan, all buff. But yeah, this is JoJo's. The front cover kind of has the author's newer art style, which is a lot more slam, I would say, a little more flamboyant. But it's really good. I recommend this one, especially getting these hard books. They're a little on the pricier side, but they're worth it in my opinion. Now, here's one that you guys have probably all heard of. Dragon Ball, the classic staple. I would say maybe even the godfather of all shonen. Or that title could probably belong to maybe Astro Boy. I don't know. I actually don't have Astro Boy. I should have picked that one up. But yes, this is Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, the start of it all. This is the omnibus, so it has a bunch of like cool art and stuff. Like there's Shenron and Goku on the front, right there. If you've never heard of Dragon Ball, then you're probably living under a rock or something. Here it is, full color. The anime also does a really good job of adapting the original Dragon Ball. I would actually say some parts of Dragon Ball are a lot bloodier than some parts of, well, maybe Z. But it's definitely a lot more crude now that I'm reading through it. This is where he means Bulma. This one's a classic. Oh. This one's actually a little heavy. That's why I'm kind of going like this. It's heavy. I really love the art style of Akira Toriyama. It's very iconic, especially his early art style. is when he fights Yamcha. Oh, Master Roshi. Yeah, basically Dragon Ball is a story of a kid with like a little monkey tail. And he goes on an adventure to find the 7 Dragon Balls, which when gathered together, they grant anybody any wish that they want. And he basically goes around and making friends who also want to find it. It's kind of like based off the story of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. With the spin on it though. Pretty good. If you like classic and shonen, very classic. Oh, here's some more color pages. Yeah, this one's very old school. I definitely recommend picking up the omnibus for this one. Or maybe even just volume 1. But yeah, here it is, Dragon Ball. Very classic, very classic. And finally, we have reached the last volume. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Or Evangelion. Now this one, well, not recently, but a little bit back, I just finished almost the entire series. I still have not watched the 4th movie, Thrice Upon a Time. I don't know if it's coming to the States. It might, but from what I've seen from the other movies releases, it might take a while before it comes here, but definitely excited for that. But I've pretty much caught up with everything that there is for Evangelion. I have a little bookmark here because I actually want to read this one through. So I heard the manga's kind of different from the anime. Here's some art. Oh wow. I saw a little bit of the art before, but whoa, it looks really good. So Evangelion's a classic. If you ask anybody about Evangelion, they're probably going to go on a long talk about how it's so deep. And it is really deep. You'll probably think it's like your average mecha anime with cute girls and your regular MC, but no, it's really deep. Oh, Rei. She's my favorite character. This one has some good art. Wow. Look at that. Really good art. And full color too. So basically it's a story of the world. It's kind of like post-apocalyptic, where this thing called the first impact happens. Well, the first impact kind of like destroys the world in a bit. And then the second impact pretty much decimates the whole bottom half of the world. And the governments of the world, they create these things called Evangelions, like giant robots. And they have people pilot them to fight off these angels, which are like these things kind of like aliens from outer space. And they're given like these like biblical names and stuff. That's why they're called angels. And they're kind of like the cause for the impacts and stuff. I don't want to spoil everything. I recommend watching the anime, the original one. Basically, stories of this kid Shinji, and he's able to like pilot one of these Evangelions to fight off one of the aliens. Apparently well, like I said, the manga, I've heard that the manga is different from the anime. A lot more things are more detail. I heard the story gets a little different. Whoa, this actually looks really good. Yeah, I'm definitely going to read this. Genesis Evangelion. Oh, and the composer for the music for the anime is also the same composer for Bleach. So a lot of the soundtrack's gonna be good. Very old school, very classic. Let me put that bookmark back. While I'm still looking at this art, it's really good. All in full color. So there it was, guys. My second part to my manga collection, this time with the classics. I definitely want to make this into a bit of a multi-part series, depending on if you guys like it or not. Let me know in the comments of what you think.